Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's Danny Limelight. And I need all of you to subscribe to According to Woods podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and all other platforms.
What's good, party people? This is According to Woods, and I have the honor and privilege of talking to my sister, who has a hit single released right now on all available platforms. She is the one and only Miss B Royal. Sis,
Yeah.
what's going on?
What's up, everybody? What's up, Adam? How you doing, brother? It's been a while, you know?
It literally has been a while. It literally seemed like the last time that we saw each other. I mean, it was almost a year to the day. Something came up on my Facebook memories of us being at Boulevard
Oh my
right
God.
around the rugby sevens and all that
Yeah.
jazz, and then right after that, literally everything just went to hell.
You're right. It really did. But I'm glad to be on here, and thank you for inviting me to be on your show.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, for those of you guys that don't know, this is not Miss B Royal's first rodeo, because she was actually a guest on the Gym Crashers. She came in studio, but obviously because of everything being all weird and everything, we're doing it this way. So it's a little bit new, but it's good, right?
But this is also an awesome platform. Like, it's actually really cool to still be having interviews and to kind of like be your own producer in a way, just to set your own stuff up and have your own experience. This is pretty cool. I like this experience. It's
Yeah.
also nice.
Yeah, I do concur. I do concur.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I mean,
Add that to
obviously,
your resume, brothers. Look at that.
I guess somebody was like a producer of According to Woods. I was like, I guess I am. I mean,
You're putting everything together. So, yes.
Now, obviously, I mean, somebody that has it together is yourself. You've got the new single "Slay," and it's a kind of weird one, right? Because
Yeah.
you are almost like a lot of the fighters that I interview. Because you know, as we were looking at January 2020, this single's gonna get released. You're making a hella traction. That's my Bay Area, right? A hella traction. In terms of your live shows, putting it together, getting more dates kind of booked, and your kind of Miss Big Royal tour of Southern California and beyond. You were doing stuff in Colorado and Utah and all that jazz, right? And then everything just went blah, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And you yourself had, it probably delayed, Slay's release and everything, but you figured it out.
Actually, it fueled Slay's release, I would say.
Really?
I was doing a lot of things before the COVID had happened. And for me and my team, it felt like we were on a roller coaster going up.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, just the weirdness of COVID, and then trying to kind of like adjust your life to doing things at home, using technology more. Um, that was a transition for all of us. So for me, since I was just barely beginning and things happened, I kind of just went back down to kind of like, oh, I don't know where to go anymore. I'm just going to get a job and stack up on money and wait till things open. I don't, I didn't really have a direction of what I wanted to do anymore, or how I wanted to approach my singing career anymore. I didn't
Yeah.
have like too much experience on, okay, everybody, we're going to shift from going on stages to doing, and I was kind of doing live streams in the beginning, but then I think also my insecurities of like technical difficulties kind of made me feel like inferior to all the other things I was seeing. And it kind of made me, a little shy and timid, and to be honest, and to just be like, I don't know if I'm even affecting anything. And so I was just kind of going through that COVID made me go through those doubts and those feelings. And I was going to work and just like doing things. I was like, man, I was at shows and concerts last year. I was doing interviews, and now I'm here. Just, for me in my life, it was
Hmm.
like, now I'm here. Like, what am I doing? And it wasn't until like the end of last year that I told myself, you know what? This is not what I did all that for, and I need to either get my shit together
Yeah.
and refocus and give it all I got again, or focus on this job and start getting a promotion. And but I gotta, where do I want to put my energy at? Do I want to go here, or do I want to do my music? And I decided, fuck that. I'm doing
Yeah.
everything. I'm about to go and put my money into all my money I'm working, hard for. I'm about to go to the studio, redo this song Slay, because I was already doing it before.
Right.
But it wasn't, just things didn't turn out the way we wanted it artistically.
Yeah.
And there was another chance, that was another opportunity that was offered to us with another engineer. And we're like, you know what, let's try it. Let's do it. And I just took the risk and just gave him all my ideas, and we made Slay. So we're here today.
I love it. I
Fast
love
forward.
it. That's tremendous.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, Gene Castro says, good morning. Good
Good
morning, Gene.
morning.
Yes. And Nate Wren of Podium Sports says, looking forward to seeing another great interview by Adam Woods. You're too kind, but go ahead and follow Nate Wren at Podium Sports. Thank you, Nate. And Gene says, you're awesome. I'm
Yeah,
just saying,
you're
you're
awesome.
awesome too, Gene. Just saying, shout out to Gene Castro. Now, I mean, you kind of encompassed my 2020, right? Because I was in the same deal,
Yeah.
doing interviews like almost on a week by week, a weekend by weekend basis, and then it all just goes right,
Yeah.
and didn't know what was gonna happen, right? Like at that point, I had made 2019 is probably the best fiscal year that I've had in my entire life, right? And did things that I never thought I would do. I did commentary for the first time, and that like part of that commentary got featured in a BuzzFeed video that has like 7 million views on YouTube and
Yes.
all that
Yes.
stuff, right? So, and
Congratulations.
then just to go, oh, thank you. But and then just to kind of go on a downward turn,
Yeah.
and we didn't even know. Like, if I go outside, am I gonna live? Am I gonna die? What is it?
Right.
Whatever. Somebody cough on
Like,
me?
what's
Oh,
important now? My life, or
yeah. It led you to reassess things, and then
yeah.
right around like July, a couple of my friends had me on like, their podcast, and they're like, dude, Woods, do this. And I was like, okay. And, when there was not a lot of money coming in, paying for the service to do this very thing, to justify to my wife, like, hey,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of money coming in. And I'm going to create another bill.
Yeah.
Right. So it started out this me trying to justify it to my wife, like, hey, it's going to be worth it and whatever. And I was just like, how many, $25 a month. I wanted to do one interview a week,
Yeah.
and 4 interviews a month. And then people just started hitting me up. And now we're like close to 400 episodes since July, but that's the thing. And as a creative type, that's where you found yourself, right? Because, a large part of the Miss B Royal experience is the live element, and that was taking an upward swing. And
Yeah.
then now you don't have that live element, and as a creative type, you have to reconfigure what this means to you.
Yeah. Definitely. Performing wise, I've always felt at my most natural state of being creative. Like, I just love performing on the stage, is where I feel like it's my strongest point. Just being in front of people and just doing what I love to do, just singing and entertaining and just having fun with everybody, not in front of everybody, but with everybody. I just feel like I'm with them and we're all partying together. That's how I feel when I'm on stage. And so with this, no more stage, no, platforms, um, it made
Good. No
but
worries.
it made me focus more on what I considered my weaknesses as being an
Mm,
artist, which is being more active on social media,
yeah.
creating more content, being more creative and artistically creative technology wise,
Yeah.
you know, and taking advantage of social media platforms now. So it helped me focus more on that because I wasn't really doing that, you know, to be
Right.
honest. And we all know now, you know, in today's time, this is something that it's a must that you do, you know, in your career as an art, as a creative person,
No,
and something that you have
absolutely.
to learn, you know.
Absolutely. And it's a free resource. It's not like people are
Yeah.
charging you to get an Instagram account or whatever, because in times of past you would have to, if you're in the entertainment industry, you get a headshot, right? If you're in, and that costs money, right? If you
Yes.
were an artist, you're essentially getting demo tapes and demo reels and CDs and MP3s, and again, money. If you're a business person, there's business cards, right? Like all of
Yeah.
those, essentially incurring money, where all of these social media platforms, you don't necessarily have to have the money up front, and just whoever you say you are on social media, by God, that's what the fuck you are.
Yeah. I definitely was watching this one interview one time. Um, I'm not going to be good at recollecting all the main facts, but he was talking about an acronym called SPACE, and it was basically talking about things that you should be aware of as a person on social media platforms to make sure that you have, and each letter stood for something. You guys look it up, you know, Google
Yeah.
Space social media acronym.
Okay.
But you know, it was talking about, creating something consistent on your social media that, you know, people are going to come and be like, oh, she does this consistently every
Mhm.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And you know, that could be either like how you're doing with your video, with your blog and your interviews. You know, they're like, okay, you know, Woods is always doing interviews with great athletes and musicians, and then that eventually builds our army, you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
those are the things, since we can't go live in front of people, because that's how I was building my army, was going out, doing live shows, doing, you know, meeting
Right.
people physically, and being like, hey, yeah, follow me on Instagram, you know, da da
Yeah.
da da da, to watch where I'm going to be performing at next.
Right.
But you know, now it's like there's nothing that we can really promote to people anymore to be like, hey, you can catch me over here next week and over here next week. It's more like, hey, you know, I'm going to be throwing a live stream show next week, or I'm going to be
Yeah.
having an interview next week on my live stream. And that's really how we have to promote ourselves, you know, nowadays, especially. But when things get back to normal, you know, it's kind of like those of us who have been trying to learn this and taking advantage of this, now we'll have both. You know,
Yeah.
we're able to be live with people, and we're able to also be on connect with people on live stream. So
Yeah.
that's definitely
No.
something that I've been working on, and you know, I'm happy that, or you know, I feel like, you know what, this is a positive that came out of this COVID event. So
Yes, turning a negative into a positive, and that's it should be in life, right? Where
yeah.
you kind of have to play the cards as they may. Never is anything going to be absolutely perfect or ideal, but it's just like, in less than ideal times,
Yeah.
create almost a tension where, like, something has to go, because without the tension, without the pressure, you know
Mhm.
a diamond would be essentially a piece of coal still. You know.
Yes. You know, I feel like as a 90s baby, you know, myself too, I feel like we've been going through so much transitions because I feel like we were one of the first generations to actually try to transition from pencil and paper to computer,
Yes.
you know, and it's like our parents who are like, how do you use this phone? Or, you know, how do you
Hmm.
go search for this on, you know, Google? You know, and it's like we're the ones that's kind of like the bridge between these millennials and these Gen Z, you know, Gen X babies, and you know, the old school generation still.
Yeah.
And but we're still learning ourselves, and it's kind of like it's, you know, that's why I feel like it was kind of also, it was challenging still, but I
Yeah.
feel like it's always something that it's like us 90s people or generation, 80s generation, we
Hmm.
have to challenge ourselves to, we're always the ones that's like, we have to learn this, you know, like in order for us to still survive, because we're not gonna be taken care of yet. We still have to, hustle for our own still right now. And the old school, they can rely on us now to take care of
No,
them.
1000%,
So they
thousand
don't really
percent.
have to adjust. Not all of them, but for the ones that have good kids like us,
No, 100%, hundred
we're able
percent.
to adjust for them.
Man, I wish I would listen to my kids with the Bitcoin 10 years ago. They were telling me about that damn thing, and I was just like,
Mhm.
ah. Yeah, that's where I became the old dude, right? And I was like,
Yeah,
oh, kids and your Bitcoin, dude. Right now,
you're
oh,
right. Right. And
Jesus.
now I'm like, damn, if I would have learned that 10 years ago.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
But now we're aware everything that happens, we're just like, you better get on that because, I missed out on this type of opportunity 10 years ago because I was kind of like, nah,
Yeah,
we're not going to ever change that. But no, things are changing and we have to adjust.
have to adjust, right? It's just blue hearts all around, says Leslie. And Daniel Pele says, we proud of you, cuz.
Thank you.
Example of a go-getter. Somebody, he's showing up as Jason, but I might know him. We might know him as Mr. Body Rock. Yeah.
Body rock.
What's up, good brother? Too sweet me. I love it. And Daniel says, we banging your single all the way to in Orlando, Florida.
Yeah.
Choo! There you go.
Hey, Orlando, where you at, man? Come on. Y'all know y'all active out there. Book me.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. They're all open up, and it's
Yeah.
all yeah. I mean, yeah. Now, obviously, this year is only a small part, or the year past is a small part to your story. So we
Yeah.
want to go ahead and take it back. We're gonna kick it back old school, and like, how did it all begin? Now, before we get to that, Nate Wren, he's kind of giving us a teaser. How did you get the name Miss B Royal?
Well, actually, I got the name from my pops. My dad, he gave me the name. This is when we were starting to, get into singing as a career more. And we were like, hey, we need a stage name. So, my dad pondered on it for a while. And then he came up to me and was like, I got the perfect name for you, babe, Miss B Royal. And I was like, what's that, Dad? And he was like, well, the letter B, it comes from my nickname, which is Bunny. And
Oh.
so that's my nickname right there, Bunny Boo. And so the letter comes from that, but he also was like, you're my queen, you're my princess. You should always consider yourself royalty. So that's where I got my name, Be Royal.
I love it. I love it, especially now. Like, I'm rocking with you, where there hasn't been great things have happened in other royal families in other parts of the world. This is royalty and
Yes.
regalness that I'm rocking with.
Yeah.
One would even say I'm a part of Uncle Jake's army. Is
Yes,
what I'm saying.
definitely, brother. You already a soldier. You already know. But
Just-
definitely, I've taken that name with me, and I've created my own pride within it, which is, all of us should consider ourselves royalty because we all come from the one and only, the great King from up above. And so, if we are all children of Him, we are all royalty, and take pride in that, and do what you got to do in your life. That's your destiny.
Absolutely. And Coach Rob up in Canada is saying Coach Rob approved. And he ain't serving no damn
Hey, Coach.
lattes. So shout out to Coach Rob and his podcast, which is forthcoming. So you definitely want to check out all of his social medias for that.
Yes.
But again, peeping you on social media and everything. Let's take it back to a time before social media and you discovering that you have this artistic talent, So what was growing up like?
Um, well, growing up was it was awesome. It was just, I had a really awesome childhood. My parents they're great parents. They were always there for me, supported me and my brother and everything that we did. And our life it was about sports. It was about music. It was family oriented. So, music wise, my parents, they actually did karaoke. They hosted karaoke at bars growing up, and they would always, that was their thing, to do together. That's what it started out as. And it eventually turned into something more because people just loved the way they sing, and so they ended up investing their money into buying a karaoke system, buying karaoke CDs from the karaoke stores, and
Yeah.
we ended up creating a big old catalog where we started to do get hired for karaoke, at parties. And so they knew that my dad had a library and a system. And
Yeah.
that turned into, from karaoke, it turned into, we added DJ in the mix. So we started to DJ and do karaoke around the city and for families and for functions. And then eventually, when they would come home and they had their new karaoke CD, they always want to, all right, let's practice this song for this weekend. And, me and my brother, that would be our thing. And we just love to sit back and be like, that's not how you sing the song. It would be like the new songs that come out on the radio. And we're like, that's not how you sing the song. And we're all like, this is how you sing it, mom, dad. This is how you sing it. And, my mom and dad, they would always sing the old school songs. And, that's how we would learn that. That's where we got our old school vibe from, is from learning from them. And so, that was our thing to do together. And eventually that just made me start to love music, be interested in music more. And, people in my family, they started to do, my whole extended family were just all musical people as well. So music is just around me, period. But that it's definitely around my immediate family, and those are one of the main reasons why.
I love it. That's
Yes.
amazing. Yeah, it's funny because I can't really see what she's saying. She just my wife normally doesn't check these out, but she did and left a. I'm sure there's an emoji of a heart or
Aw.
something.
Hey girl,
Uh,
how you doing, Mary? Shout out to the wifey. Thank you for
Yes.
tuning in.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. She
That's my
is.
girl.
Yeah, she's awesome. She misses you guys.
I miss
And
you
Nate Redden
too.
says, "Is it okay with Miss B-roll if I share this video?"
Of
I kind of know the
course.
answer, but yeah.
Automatic. Share it,
Share it. I'm
please.
just saying. And he's probably not just going to share it on his page. He's probably going to share it on the Podium Sports page, which, I mean, he's featured some Islanders, such as WWE Hall of Famer Rikishi on the said page. So you're right there. Right there.
Yes.
It-
I can't. I couldn't hear you on the last sentence. Sorry.
no. It's just, I was just saying, he's probably going to share it on all of his social media pages. So shout out to you, Nate Wren.
Shout
Oh
out to you,
yes,
brother.
yeah, absolutely. And just, I believe I know who this is. It might be Moms. Just shout out to Moms because we were just
Shout out
talking
to you,
about
mama.
you.
Love you.
Yes, yes. And
I love
Mary
my mama.
says, "Love you and the fam." There you go. So that's what the emoji was. Hashtag that. There you go.
Love everybody.
Now
Thank you so much.
I love the fact that you went into it because like my dad, right? My dad. This was a non Islander part of me. Mom from Fiji, dad from Indiana. But my dad was a musician, right?
Oh,
And he did jazz music and he wanted me and my sisters to do it. We didn't do it. So the fact that you kind of leaned into it, because for me, like my dad, he created his own music, like he did his own thing, and that was his kind of mode of operation.
yeah.
There was no way that I was going to step into his world and do as good as and
Yes.
provide for my family because of this thing. But you, as well as your brother, you guys went the other way and basically went and ended up going into your mom and dad's kind of world and
Yeah.
ended up owning and redefining yourselves as people. And I think that's incredible.
Thank you. Definitely. Like I said, growing up, we also grew up in the sports world as well. And I grew up playing basketball. That was my main sport, and my brother grew up playing football. And
Ah.
we were really into training. My dad, he really invested his time into taking us to the park, making us do a lot of feet work, run our conditioning, our cardio. Dang, I was in tip top shape. But I even eventually went on to play basketball at a JC college up in Woodland Hills.
Ah,
And
okay.
yes, that was just an experience of my life. I just love those moments, just bonding with teammates and creating that kind of like that sister camaraderie, with strangers. And it's just like just creating that unbreakable bond of like, don't mess with her. Like, that's my girl. Like, from with somebody who from somewhere else, from a different part of the world, and you're just connecting. And I just miss those moments with people. That's definitely a moment of sports life that I just miss. But with that came a lot of, it came a lot of discipline, as far as like learning how to discipline yourself in life. And so I definitely take everything that I've learned in sports as far as being consistent, working on yourself, work, because you have talent, but without hard work, your talent doesn't really go nowhere. And somebody who's working their ass off can always come up on you, who has a natural talent possibly. And so I always consider that, I need to always be working on myself. There's never like, oh, I made it. There's never a point of, oh, I'm there. There's always more room for learning. And also of, I come from a feeling, or like a background of always feeling like I'm an underdog as well.
Yeah.
And to learning to learn that, where's my place on a team? Also, when should I be a leader?
Yeah.
And because I always feel like you can't have too many chiefs.
Yeah.
And there's a time where I have been through an experience of being an underdog or being somebody who's been a team role player. So I have that experience of, when should I step up and be a leader? Because I know how to be that. I know how to be a captain, but I also know how to be like, you know what? Somebody else, they're really stepping up to the plate. How can I help them? How can I support? And I've just taken these qualities that I've learned in sports and have used it in my musical career now. Like, as far as feeling like I have no direction and feeling like, man, things aren't working out the way I wanted to go, feeling like an underdog.
Mhm.
That's that's a feeling I'm used to. And that's a feeling where, I've already been mentally prepared to be a warrior and to be like, you know what? You know, forget all those doubts. Like, these are just all negative things you're telling yourself. This is you're only fighting yourself. You're only holding yourself back.
Right.
Come on, let's do it. Wake up. Let's grind. Let's slay. And so, we've already, me and my brother, we've done our parts in the sports world. And we're still, my brother, he still continues to be active and working out and all that.
Yeah.
And I have moved on more into the music realm, but we've taken everything that we've learned in life, not just from our parents, just but also from experiences we've been through on our own. And now we're just using our energy into what we really want to do now in life as adults. So,
I
you
love
know.
it, and that's the thing, it's about redefining, right? And we kind of
Mhm.
spoke about it earlier on the podcast. This is redefining what you feel, what you think that you're able to do, redefining how it is. Sometimes it's even, to use a sports analogy, moving the goalposts. It doesn't happen in 6 months. Maybe it
Yeah.
happens in 2 years, but it happens. And, what I want to know is, in your kind of sports endeavors, were you also writing? And I mean, obviously, you're kind of helping your mom and dad with with the karaoke kind of selections and catalogs, but like, at what point did you start writing songs yourself?
I started actually writing. My first song that I ever wrote was in high school. And then in college is when I actually started to write more. And that's when I had my guitar. I took my guitar to college. And so my teammates, they'd always be like, Logo, play us something, play us something. And when I played my first song to them, it was called Mr. Brown on the guitar. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
they loved me so much. Like, that was one of the most thing that was probably one of the like the best things that they loved about me was my voice and my singing. So, after a hard day of working out and practice and getting yelled at, getting chewed up at, we come back to the apartment and they'll be like, Logo, sing us some tunes. And they'll just be falling in love with me and be like, oh my gosh, I love you. And so that was a hobby at first. I was starting to build confidence right there. And I was starting to, I'll write on my free time, from work, from practice and all of that, from school. I'll write on my free time, and that's when I started to write more. And then eventually, after sports, because I hurt myself in basketball. So that's
Oh,
why I stopped playing basketball. I
wow.
tore my MCL and my ACL. And so, it was kind of like, it was over for me right there.
Yeah.
And that's when I started to turn my focus to music more now. So I did start playing music, and I was singing a little bit at college open mics type stuff,
Yeah.
singing for my teammates, but it wasn't anything serious. It was just a hobby, something that I thought like, hey, everybody else likes it, so I guess I must be kind of good. Okay.
Yeah.
And it was just something I did for fun. And then eventually, after my injury, I focused more of my creative energy towards music.
That's amazing. I love it. And so to it, Coach Rod giving a pearl of wisdom. You grow through what you go through, girl.
Mhm.
Coach Rob. Just,
Thank
yeah,
you. That's right, Coach. Thank you.
there it is. Now, and I think it's fun because, like, again, you did it for fun, right? You were just at a shits and giggles, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny too, because like Joe Rogan, right, the preeminent podcaster, right? He's a comedian first and foremost, right? And that was it. Him going to taekwondo tournaments and having his team with him, and then he just started. He was just a wise ass, so
Yeah.
he just started cracking people up, and they're like, "No, you're good. Why don't you try an open mic?" Which is the same thing. You went to open mics, and it's kind of fun because you in basketball, right? That's a venture that you essentially have people watching you and everything, but you're a part of a team, right? A team
Yeah.
dynamic. It's never, you might miss a shot, but even still, it's a team dynamic. But you actually stepping out on stage with your guitar, maybe a cappella and what have you, and just doing it yourself, away and far and away, Woodland Hills from where you grew up in kind of the Long Beach area. For those that don't know, I mean, with traffic, that can be like a 2-3 hour journey in between with traffic, right? So the fact that you are essentially doing it on your own, away from your family, away from your teammates, how did you grow from that experience?
Um, Honestly, I didn't hear the last one
Oh,
that you said. Can you
uh-oh.
repeat that, Adam?
Okay. So no, I'm saying you weren't with your family, you were with it in a new setting, right? And you essentially are basically redefining yourself beyond your family, beyond the basketball, and redefining yourself as an artist, and maybe stepping up a cappella with your guitar, maybe doing covers, maybe even doing some of the stuff that you're writing yourself, right? How is that a shift in terms of what you were used to doing?
um, it's more of a shift. Like I was used to always waking up and just like my focus is okay, how to prepare for basketball games, how to
Yeah.
prepare for my next game is mostly physical conditions. You know what I mean? And of course, when you play games, they always say when you play sports, 80% is mental or whatever like that, right? And
Right.
20% is physical. So my main thing, like I said, like mentally wise, I had to make sure that all my workouts for music, even today, I'm still trying to adjust myself.
Right.
Honestly, I am not in tip top musician shape, and I'm not talking about physically, but I'm talking about business wise and mentally. Like I need to. There are things that I need to check myself on as well daily and consistently, and always recharge myself as well mentally. And my mental workout or my workouts, as I would say for music, is like, creating days that I'm just writing on this day or just recording on this day, always networking with other musicians and surrounding yourself is really also a really important part, is making sure you're surrounding yourself with people who are doing the same things that you want to be involved in. If you're a musician, are you surrounding yourself not only around musicians but other creatives like producers, people who are into videos, people who are into marketing as well, and just things that, if I connect with you, if we connect with each other, we can definitely create something together, and you always have to be on the go like that. And for me as a musician, I had to learn a lot of these things on my own.
Right.
So that was definitely a hardship in the shift,
Yeah.
is learning what questions do I even need to ask,
Right.
because in the beginning, all you want to do is just sing. So you think that that's all. Hey, if I just record a video of me singing, I'm gonna go somewhere.
Yeah.
But sometimes it works for people,
It
Sometimes they
does.
get the lottery with that, and for people like me, you have to go another extra step and another extra step. If it doesn't work like that, you can't just sit and wait
Right.
for your million hits. What's another way I can, what are other ways that I could get myself out there? And that comes with connecting with people, definitely, because a lot of my ideas that I've gotten, as far as like, oh, I could promote myself this way or that way, it came from connecting with people, connecting with other musicians and not being shy and being like, I don't know, I'm not going to talk to them. They're not about music. You don't know who you're going to talk to, and you
Right.
really have to be open, and you have to be sociable, So those were a lot of shifts because I wasn't used to stepping out my element and speaking with some people as well. So those were a lot of things that I overcame growing up. And now I'm just confident. I talk to anybody now, talk to me. But I'm comfortable with talking to people now. The questions that I have, I'm always finding out answers to these questions. Always ask questions to yourself. If you don't know what questions to ask, there's the internet out there. Research what you want to do, because those will give you the questions you need to ask, which is, oh, this is why I'm not going nowhere. This is
Right.
why I feel lost. So those are some things that I definitely had to, some transitions I made in coming to me as a musician.
No, absolutely, and it's all a process, and it's part of the process is KD Photography said, "We in here,"
What's up,
announcing,
brother? Yes, that's
yo,
my brother right there, KD.
shout out to KD Photography, and shout out to one Nate Rand of Podium Sports who said, "Share the interview, tag your page, and like your page, Miss B Roll." Shout out to you,
Thank
Nate
you,
Rand.
Nate. Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, man. And again, for those who don't know, now you know. Go ahead and check out not only Miss Big Rose social media pages, but also the Podium Sports social media pages. Nate Wren is doing some great work out there. So, like, share, and subscribe is what I'm saying. Yeah, yeah. Oh, it cut
Awesome.
out on her. Ha! It cut out. Anyway, we're moving on. But so now, Slay, right? Slay is here. And it was obviously I was privy and honored to hear previous incarnations of Slay, but now it's a full fledged single. My goodness, what was the process?
You got to did you say that you got to hear the last version of Slay as well?
Yeah, the
I thought
the
I
live
showed you,
version, the
huh?
live version.
Oh, yes, the live version. So that's really cool that you bring that up, because, you're actually one of the few that who have listened to the live version, just different version of Slay compared to what I actually released.
Yes.
So yes, the process of that was, um, it was a learning process, most definitely, because just the, you know, it, I don't really have a really big team, but I do have a team of people who I can definitely rely on, and you know, we definitely do our best to learn about this game. You know what I mean? To learn about distribution of music, and because that was a whole nother thing that I had to learn independently. You know, um, and that was something, because I did also put out in the beginning of Slay, I was telling everybody, hey, it was going to be released in January, January something. I forgot the date. I put out a first date though,
Right.
and it didn't work out because certain hiccups happened on my end as
Right.
learning of what I had to do to put out music. And I was like, oh man, this is going to take longer than I thought.
Yeah.
So, that was definitely a learning process for me. But I always take these things as it's good that it happened because now I know. And not only do I just know for myself, but I know for other people in the future.
Yeah.
I always think about, helping other people, that there's other musicians around here who are probably just like me, who are looking for avenues, looking for lanes, looking for answers. And I would just love to connect with them and be like, share my light on them and be like, bro, like, actually this is how you do it. This is how you do it. Don't waste time because this is not gonna work out if you do it like this. But I don't only learn this for myself, it's also for the future. Who knows where I'm going to end up in music? If I don't end up as a musician, which I hope I do, I speak that into life, but that's first and foremost. But I always want to stay in the game of music. And it could be, helping somebody bring them up as a musician in the future or being a manager in music as myself. So I always want to stay in music in the future, but all these things that I'm learning,
Yeah.
they're coming in handy, and I'm putting them in my pocket for whenever I need to use them in the future. And it was definitely a learning process for Slay. Those were definitely things that I overcame, that I came across, that I was like, wow, okay. But making Slay, I wrote this song about a few years ago. Like, this song was made a long time ago, and I wrote this song basically to encourage myself. Like I said, I've always felt like an underdog in whatever I do. I come out creative, like, oh, I want to be a singer, I want to be a musician. I got some songs, and I've had people around me in my environment who have been like giving me weird energy,
Yeah.
and gives me energy that makes me feel like I can't do. Like, oh, is it good? You know, is it makes me doubt myself. And there were times that I had to look in the mirror and be like, sis, you better slay. Like, no, you can't be letting those weird energy just make you feel weird. You gotta slay, you gotta be your number one cheerleader. And that's why I wrote Slay. It was basically just a testament to myself and some words of encouragement to myself to be like, you can't stop. People are always gonna be like that around you. You know, Learn to overcome it, grow up, because this ain't gonna be the end of it. And if you want to go down this road of being different, being a creative, because that's what creatives are. We're all different. Everything comes from inside of us. You know, we're inspired by others, but we create things from within here, from our heart. And so if I'm gonna put what's in my heart out there, I have to be ready to receive whatever's gonna come back.
Right.
Either it's good or it's bad. And I can't let the bad make me feel like inferior and make me feel like, wow, I should have kept that inside here. Like, no,
Mhm.
release it, it's gone. And hey, that's what you felt, but I'm happy about it. I'm happy with what I put out. So
No, I agree. I'm happy with it. And again, hearing one incarnation, and that's one thing that is, I guess, sorely missed. Right? Is the live show.
yeah.
I have the fortunate honor of seeing it twice. One on kind of supporting One Tanel at the House
Yeah.
of Blues in Anaheim, as well as I mean, you had a residency at a beachfront
Yeah.
bar
Sea
in Huntington Beach. Like, that's crazy, but
Yes.
but to capture that energy, and especially as a song that was written a couple years back, right? To
Yeah.
get a lot more energy into it and learning where we can tighten up, where we can loosen up. It's all a process.
Yes. Yes. Definitely. That song has came through. Like I said, I wrote it a couple years ago, and I barely put the song out last month, and it went through many transitions as
Hmm.
well. It started off with one beat, and then we ended up making it. We ended up recording it again as a live band, and then this last record that we just released it as. It's actually, shout out to Lou from 17th Street Records recordings. He's my engineer and producer who touched that song. And, he was able to create with my other brothers, Stony Eyed Records and Soli, who those three combined with each other just put their talents on it by, adding their um, not just adding the beats and the, all the knickknacks
Right.
and the instruments, but also just adding their musical education to it. Some things just musically made sense as well. And they enlightened me about certain things and taught me, like, and I'm that type of person. When I work with somebody, I'm open, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because I'm, like I said, I'm still learning, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm always used to hearing what I hear.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always good as a musician to, like, what are these other people who've been through a lot of experiences and they work with so many musicians? What do they know and what do they hear? And they would always teach me things, and I was learning. I was like, wow, you know what? You're right. You're right. That part would make sense if I did it like this or did it like that. And then it was just up to me to deliver. So, you know, I had so much fun making that the new version of Slay, which is this version right here. Um, and it taught me a lot as far as recording and also business wise and promoting wise. So
Yeah.
this has been a fun journey with Slay, and I can't wait to put out more songs in the future, which are
I
gonna
love
drop
it.
soon.
Yeah, we can't wait either. We can't
Yes.
wait either. And Katie, your photography goes, I'm sorry, I
Yes,
didn't do.
man.
I'm just saying. And David Mancina says, Boulevard family in here. Much love, Miss Royal.
Thank you, brother.
Oh,
Much love, Dave.
yes. And
One love in the building.
yes, shout out to you. And just be yourself. Everyone is taken. That's
Yes,
from Coach Rob himself. I'm just saying.
that's right. One
Yeah.
of a kind, brother. One of a kind.
100%. 100%. Now, in terms of goals, because it's being a creative person, right? It's weird because coming from an athletic background, you're like, oh, I'm training for this game, I'm training for this championship, this blah blah blah, right? And having that output. Well, as a creative type, it's weird, because you can't say like, I want to have a Grammy in 2 years or whatever. It's just like, so how have you redefined, like, not just yourself and your identification as a songwriter, a performer, versus like, when times get kind of lean where there aren't necessarily goals to
Yeah.
have, you just learn the process. So
Like having Grammys and stuff, that would be the big ultimate goal, right? But as somebody who, that's something that I had to learn when I was just, like I said, while I was working at my job, my regular 9 to 5, that was a personal thing for me to be like, for me, like I said, everybody, like, no offense to nobody who works jobs, we have to all grind however we grind. And then I just took it upon myself, like, for me, for my personal life, this is not what I was meant to do, and I feel that all the time. And I just know that within myself on certain things. I'm like, this is what I have to do, but this is not what I was meant to do. And I'm not going to settle for less. Like, what I want to do is I want to pursue music, and at the end of the day, I want to at least make a comfortable living for myself, mainly through music, doing something that I love to do. And so it's just, that's the goal for me, is making sure that I don't get caught up in a rat race for myself,
right.
to where I'm like, this is, I didn't really want to end up being in the warehouse. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
for me, for myself, like, that's not what I plan to do. That's not what I went through. A lot of experiences that I keep remembering every day. That's not what I went through them for. There was a deeper meaning for me in my life, and that's just the pride that I have within myself and how I carry myself. And that's something that makes me always get up and not settle. Like, the sacrifices my parents made, for me, it wasn't for me to just, not do nothing with my life. It was made for me to do what I want to do. They created ways, they sacrificed a lot of things for their kid to do what they want to do, right? Like, I'm sure that's what parents do for their kids. They always be like, I want you to do what you want to do. Not what you have to do to survive, but what you want to do. And so I want to make sure that I fulfill that for them as well. Like, hey mom, hey dad, everything you guys did paid off. Like, I'm doing what I love to do, and thank you. Thank you for your sacrifice. So those are just the things that I always keep in my mind when I'm doing something. Why am I here? Am I doing this for myself? Am I doing this for, for the pride of my family, or am I doing this because I have to survive? Like,
Yeah.
girl, boy, we gonna die anyway. We might as well die doing what we love to do. At the end of the
Right.
day, that's what it's all about. And so, the goal is always to just, for me, is to make sure that I'm doing what I love to do, and that I'm satisfied that if this was my last breath, I was satisfied doing, with whatever I was doing, and I was living my life to the fullest. So that's pretty much.
I like it. I like it. And there's a lot of it that I mean I kind of do myself, where it's almost like I'm listening to a mirror, because the self doubt is there. When you think about other people doing stuff even better than you or longer
Hmm.
than you and whatever, you kind of get in your head a bit, and there's many of a time we were talking about, like, the amazing things about social media, the connectivity of it and all that jazz. But like, you can get into your own like negative headspace and real quick, and feel like you're inefficient.
Hmm.
And it's in those times in which you challenge yourself to
Yeah.
a greater expectations of yourself. You think about the things again that you've personally sacrificed, that your parents have sacrificed, and you're essentially their legacy
Yes.
incarnate,
Yes.
and it makes it so much more like weighty. It feels a little bit heavier,
Yeah.
but it's a good chip. It's a
To
good
do.
chip on
Yeah.
the shoulder to have. It's a good, monkey on your back to have, because it pushes you in
Yes.
ways that if you didn't have these things and these expectations, that you wouldn't probably do. You'd probably
Because
fall
nobody
short.
else is gonna push you, and those have to be. You have to have something that's gonna push you. So those are things that I make to push me, because you know, if I was just to be like, well, I mean, I really don't care about how like. At the end of the day, there's some times in your life where you don't really care about your own self. So
Yeah.
you have to think, well, there's people out there that care about me. I gotta do it for them, and sometimes you have to make that your motivation. Like I said, like there's every day is a recharge day for me. It's not always like I'm always just climbing up. There's times where I get back down, and there has to be that thing where I come back down, you know, what's something I can remind myself so I don't stay down for too long anymore, and something that helps me hop back up. And that's always my family. And I think that there was this thing that but I can always think about, what I'm thinking about is you can't make trophies your goals. You know
Right.
what I mean? Always seeking a physical reward, a physical trophy. And I think that's something that we did set ourselves up with, growing up. Kids always want that certificate. Oh man, I wish I had perfect attendance. Damn. you know, I missed that one day. And there's just things that you just felt, it made you feel like you just came up short,
Hmm.
or you were that student that you didn't try a damn. You didn't even try hard at all.
Yeah.
So that makes you feel like, well, I'm really not worth that. I really didn't try. And so it makes us feel like short. But you have to really take pride in every step that you did take towards whatever the goal is. And you have to be proud of that step. And if there's steps that come backwards, that just needs to be a reevaluation. It has to be looked at as something else, like, you know what, maybe there's something I missed, or hey, you know what, it's a re-challenge again, but I know how to pass this test. I passed it before, I could do it
Yeah.
again. And there's just things that you always have to look at in a different way, and so you don't psych yourself out or make yourself feel those type of ways. And those are things I do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're preaching the choir, sister. It is Sunday, so I mean, 100% all around, exactly 100%. Which,
Yes.
it's. I don't even know how kids nowadays have like goals or anything like that, because like, speaking of goals, you were talking about attendance or
Yeah.
whatever. Well, when you got the certificate attached to it, if you're a certain age, you had like a Sizzler salad bar or a Pizza Hut, personal
Yeah.
pizza, whatever. That doesn't happen nowadays. Like, The hell? Like, oh, Whole Foods coupon, whatever.
Right.
I'm a rabbit now. Like, what? Nah, I don't even know how kids stay motivated nowadays. It's just
I
like,
don't even know how they have attendance nowadays, you know? I mean,
oh,
they're
believe
doing a
me.
whole nother thing on another screen now.
Oh my goodness, you should see my kid, the 13-year-old Owen. He figured out a way to ditch online school. I'm
Yeah.
like, what? He's like, I swear, the teacher said he was off, and I'm
Right,
like,
right.
yo, like,
I don't even know how to. Well, thankfully, I'm not a parent right now. See, I don't have to go through all those things.
yeah, no.
So kudos to you guys. You guys are see, that's a whole nother learning lesson right there. Like,
No, 1,000%.
that's
Now,
crazy.
obviously, you're writing from a place that you're feeling, right? Like,
Yes.
so, and music is that. It's beyond language. It's beyond, physical space. It transcends all, right? So,
Yes.
in terms of your music, what do you want the listener, like, what journey do you want to take them on? What do you want them to feel when they listen to your music?
Um, I just feel like when I first started writing, it was really just, just writing from personal experiences that I've had. And I've never really thought about what would I want a listener to feel. And it wasn't until recently when I started thinking about that.
Wow.
And basically what I want my listeners to feel like I said, I always talk about this, but this is honestly how I felt. I've always felt like a late bloomer. I've always felt like an underdog. I've always felt like I was almost there. And I think my music who relates to people who are like that, who I feel like at the end of the day, everybody feels like that in some point in their life. And so I just want my music to just be encouraging, be uplifting, give you strength, and give you your own pride in your individuality and who you are, and to catch you at an early age to tell you, little girl, you are beautiful just the way you are. Don't let nobody change you. Either it's friends at school, or either if it's family in your own, people in your own family, people in your own culture telling you, oh, that's not how we act. Who are you? Because that's how I always felt. Like I always felt different. And now, like growing up, I see people coming out that they were just like me,
Yeah.
and I feel like if I would have just spoken up, we could have created an alliance earlier.
Yeah.
But like I just felt like, wow, like, so I just don't want there to be another like, oh man, I don't want nobody to feel like it's ever too late for them. So yeah.
I love it. It's never too late. Never too late.
Never.
But we're talking about never being too late. But there's been a lot of people, both professionally and personally, that were literally on the ground floor waiting for you to get to the penthouse. So, Miss B Royal, let's get some shout outs out of the way, my dear.
Oh man, well, shout out to Body Rock Productions, first and foremost. My team right there. One love to everybody on Body Rock Productions, especially my family, my pops, my moms, my brother. They're always there every step of the way. Thank you guys so much. Shout out to my band, The Hierarchy, my boys. One love to you guys. Thank you so much for always coming in clutch and making me sound good. You know what I mean? And shout out to all my fans, to all of the royal court out there. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for listening to Slay. And if you haven't listened yet, it's out on all platforms. Slay. Go out right now and listen to it. Tune in. Let it liven up your day tomorrow. Let it liven up your week. Shout out to all the ones out there who've always supported me. I love you guys. And shout out to my brother Adam. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
I mean,
One love.
but I feel like the jester. You're the royalty. Thank you for doing this. This
Thank
is
you.
amazing. And wait,
Hey.
it's more Yeah, there you go. I gotta get the deep bass. I didn't tune up my vocalizers, folks. Sorry, Jason. But yes, it's I. There it is. There it
Hey.
is. Gotta get that bass in. But again, you alluded to it earlier, but for people to find out more about you, find out more about Slay and all of your upcoming music,
Yes.
where's the best place to check that out?
Hey, check me out on missbroyal.com, or you guys can follow me on Instagram at missbroyal. All right. Keep you updated.
There it is. There it is. And as we're getting shout outs, well, thank you guys for joining us here at According to Woods. If not for you guys, it wouldn't be possible. And again, this is great. Thank you to Miss B Royal. And I feel regal. I'm probably gonna wear a chiffon shirt or something for the
I'll
rest of
give
the
you
day or
another
something.
share when next time we have our interview. I got you,
I
brother.
there it is. There it is.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. But again, thank you guys for joining us here at According to Woods. And if you haven't already done so, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the According to Woods podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And I mean, Mr. B Royal, my goodness, you're subscribed, right?
Yes, of course I am. Come on now. You got to tune in all the time, every week, y'all. To my
Yeah.
brother, According to Woods.
I'm just saying. So be royal, be regal in your life. Go ahead and be like Miss B Royal, and go ahead and first download Slay. Then go ahead and check the social media streams and subscribe to According to Woods. But if you don't take my word for it, or Miss B Royal, and I don't know why you wouldn't, but here's Pro Wrestler Zeta Zhang to help convince.
Hey, this is Zeta Zhang. Make sure you subscribe.